You are listening to Lanier Listens.
Oh, what is up, guys? Welcome to the first episode, actually episode 00 of Lanier Listens. Today, in this episode, we'll be talking about introducing the host, the vision, and the reason why we started this podcast, and also just the potential topics that we might be talking about, and, just so you guys can have an expectation of what we will be, making this podcast all about. So, yeah, let's get right into it. I will introduce myself. My name is Daniel Park. My Korean name is Hyunwoo, and I'm very proud of that. I don't know why. Probably because no one can say it, actually. And some of the things that I'm involved in at Lanier High School. First off, I'm a senior. I started with a few other people, a club that's called FCA, Lanier FCA. I like to do videography and photography, and also I lead worship at my church. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Unless you guys, that's who I am. All right, that is.
Hi, I'm Kennedy. I'm also a senior. I am really heavily involved with the leadership aspect of the school. I obviously am in peer leadership, LSLT, and as well as student council, and I'm really involved with cheer and lacrosse. So that's basically me.
Nice. I'm Dylan. I'm also a senior. I'm a part of FCA. I do spirit cheer. I did lacrosse as well. What else about me? Oh, I'm also in theater, so that's really great. What else?
All right, I'm Presley. I'm also a senior. I cheer and I play lacrosse, and I'm in student council, involved with leadership things like peer leadership, LSLT, and I also coach a team of 6th grade cheerleaders.
Well, my name's Ford. I'm also a senior. I play football. Football is a big part of my life, takes up a lot of my time. I'm involved in LSLT, GSLT, peer leadership, FCA, Beta Club, all that good stuff. And then I work at Chick-fil-A. I'm heavily involved with my church. I lead a small group there. Faith is a big part of my life, and I think that's pretty much it. That's me. So.
All right, guys, that is the team of 5 for the start of Lanier Listens. And let's get into the next topic. So the reason why I founded this podcast, and the reason why I wanted to start this podcast was because, for me and to the people and my friends that I've talked to, I've always felt like there's been kind of a disconnect within our community, a lack of pride within our school, and that has always kind of, annoyed me, but I never really thought about changing anything. I always looked to maybe the teachers addressing it, or maybe, some other student making a sort of initiative. But I realized that, I could start something. And if I have people who share the same vision as me, who share the same passion as me, who want to make Lanier a proud community, I realized that, we can start anything that we want. And, the teachers, I brought it up to the teachers and they agreed. And yeah, so this is how I envisioned this podcast to be, and this is where we are right now, which is why. But yeah, that is the vision of this podcast. That's the reason why we started this podcast. I wanted to ask some of the other people in this Zoom call right now what that means to you and why you wanted to also help out on this podcast and be hosts.
Yeah, so for me, I like the community aspect. I'd love to for our school to come together more as a community, as he said. I'd really like to talk about racial and social justices and issues on here to kind of get the conversation going. That's something that a lot of people would like to shy away from and not like to talk about. I think since Lanier is so diverse, it's really important for us to know more about each other and get to know each other on that level. So that's why I was really interested in joining this podcast.
Sweet. Yeah. For me, I really wanted to do this podcast because I really wanted to see a whole different perspective out of Lanier, because I feel like a lot of times we know us as a student body, but do we know how we work together with staff, or how we work together in different areas of interest. And so I just thought it would be great to just create that perspective. And yeah.
Going off of like the community aspect of it, also like the school pride aspect. Like when I graduate, I want to like be proud to say that I like went to Lanier High School, and like I want to be proud of like the things I've done. And like this podcast is really potentially one of the things that I could like. My sister is a rising freshman this year, and like I can tell her or like have her follow in my footsteps. And have like people be proud of their school, and I feel like this is a really great way for us to like stay connected as a school, especially right now with like everything that's going on. Like doing school from home is obviously is not the same, but like with a podcast like this where someone in any grade level can listen and like hear what we talk about, and we can bring in like the different issues of the school and talk about them. I just think that's a really great idea and something I wanted to be a part of.
Yeah, I mean, y'all said it great. I'm super excited about this. I think it's a really cool opportunity that we've got. Daniel called me up about this idea, and I jumped right on. I think it was a great idea for a couple of reasons. Daniel and I had talked about it before, and I think, like any school, there's a kind of a disconnect between like administration and students. Like faculty and students, which isn't necessarily an awful thing. That's kind of just natural to happen at schools. But I think that Lanier is a really special place in which we've got a really good administration and faculty, and I think that to kind of bridge that gap between faculty and students, and really students, we're so diverse. There's so many different groups of people that I think that we could get on here and just get to know more. And then really just like objectively, Lanier is just a dope place. Like I love Lanier. I don't say that just because I go here. I know a lot of people from a lot of different schools, and this is just a really special place. Sugar Hill is a really special community. You just don't get places like this often. And so I just think bringing more awareness to like the great stuff that we have going on here is really important. So that's kind of what I'm excited to do here.
Okay. So one of the topics that we're going to be talking about in this podcast in the future, we're hoping to go do a look inside series. So we're going to talk about like different sports and clubs, have some people come on here from, the basketball team, football team, lacrosse teams, and different clubs to talk about what it's like to be a part of their club, as well as a community series. So like I discussed earlier about like racial and social issues, as well as like the history of Sugar Hill and things like that, and history of the school. And then we're hoping to do an alumni series and bring in, obviously, alumni. We're hoping to get, like Derek Brown and Valen Turner to talk about what their experience was like here and how they branched out to do the amazing things that they're doing right now. So, yeah, those are just some of the topics we're hoping to do.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Can Everyone Do This? Episode 00. Episode 00, where we ourselves we discuss the vision of this podcast and also potential topics. And thank you guys once again so much for tuning in. That has been the first or episode 0 of Lanier Listens. Peace.